hey sis, don't conflate that hey sis with real sisterhood, right? Oftentimes it's hard to celebrate people or to truly love people when you want what they have. I know it sounds harsh, but you need to stop projecting the disappointment and the anger that you felt from a past situation onto the people who God is sending into your life to actually help you. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all doing well. Today we are going to be talking about something which we really need to talk about, okay? Which is, though sisterhood can be challenging, you still need it. And of course I had to come and be the one to have this conversation because I've literally written a book about this whole thing. To My Sisters, A Guide to Building Lifelong Friendship. I literally wrote this book this year. Well, I wrote this book last year with my best friend about the importance of sisterhood and why we all need it and how to actually build it in your life. You guys already know, not only do I, toot about how important friendship and community is, I often find that whenever I've made, points around having friends around you, especially when I'm talking about women and their personal development and their femininity and their growth, I find that sometimes people push back and they're like, actually, no. Women are trifling. We don't want them, okay? I've been hurt, I have been scarred by women, and I don't need them in order to grow and glow. I don't need women's presence in my life. I can keep them at an arm's distance, but I don't need intimate community, and I certainly don't need friendship because women ain't no good. And you know what? I hear it. I don't want to invalidate anybody's experience. I know that we've all gone through different things in our lives, and honestly, I have personally been scarred by many a friend in my lifetime. I've had different instances of having to end friendships with certain friends, being spoken about, gossip, boundaries being crossed, right? Being unappreciated. But also, if I'm gonna be real, I have actually been a bad friend to certain people in my life. And I think it's crazy. Oftentimes when we think about developing relationships in our lives, it's so easy to point the finger, but we realize that bad people don't just exist in the world and we're the only good people. Sometimes we contribute to the toxicity that exists in the world. And I have not always been a good friend, but also, I've been on the receiving end of bad friendship and bad sisterhood. But even with all of that being true, sisterhood is still worth pursuing. Sisterhood as a principle, sisterhood as a ministry, sisterhood as a tool, sisterhood as a haven still needs to be pursued because it is beautiful, and dare I even say it is crucial for our growth and our development. Now, obviously, I run a digital sisterhood community with my best friend. Literally, friendship and sisterhood, I live it, I breathe it, I love it, and I have benefited greatly from it. But I do understand that people have been scarred from it. And so I wanted to talk about some of the things that you need to make sure that you do in order to still pursue sisterhood, but have it healthily in your life. Like I said, I got a whole book on this. So if you actually want an in-depth explanation of this and kind of a reason why female friendships are important, as well as how to actually cultivate it actively in your life, there's actually activities in this book, studies in this book, real breakdowns into everything. I can't get into all of it in this video, I just can't, but it is all in this book, and it's all on our podcast as well, so definitely check out the To My Sisters podcast. There's also an audio version of this book. Shout out to Audible, because you guys know they were a recent sponsor on the channel. The first thing that I would say is surround yourself with women who have their own thing going on. What do they say? Idle hands are the what? Devil's workshop. Oftentimes when somebody hasn't got their own thing going on, they're not focused on their own self-growth, they're not focused on building their life, they're not focused on their own success plan, they drift their focus and focus on you. They can easily go from being supportive and celebratory to being jealous and covetous. Oftentimes it's hard to celebrate people or to truly love people when you want what they have. And oftentimes you want what someone has because you're not content with what you have, because you haven't been focused on what you have and what you should be doing. And so this is about being in friendship with people who know that they have their own lane. This is what stops people from stepping on your toes and stops you from stepping on people's toes as well. When you realize that sisterhood is really a calling to journey with someone, you realize that it's not about you two becoming the same person or fulfilling each other's needs, or having this unhealthy codependency where you feel like each of you should be there for each other in every single moment, and you should provide everything from each other for each other in terms of every bit of emotional support they need can be found in in their best friend. Every bit of, comfort and companionship they need can be found in their best friend. Listen, your best friend has one duty to you, which is to be a friend. They cannot also be a mother. They cannot also be your husband. They cannot also be all these other things you need in order to thrive, right? They play a specific role, and you need to respect the boundaries, and you need to have people around you who respect the boundary of the fact that you have your thing and they have their thing, right? Even if you're both working on the same things, there's a necessity to even divide and conquer. Like, my best friend and I live together, we work together, and we've been best friends for over a decade, right? Or nearly a decade. What I've noticed in our relationship is we know what each of our strengths are. We know what each of our focus should be. And even if we are walking on the same thing and doing the same thing, we very much know our distinct parts, and we have chosen to make those things work in harmony with each other versus trying to be the same person, versus trying to do the same thing, right? And I think it's important to remind yourself that you are still your own whole, unique and distinct person outside of your friends, and they are their own whole, unique person outside of you. And that's a beautiful thing which you should appreciate and shouldn't see as a threat to you. But if you focus on your own personal development, you focus on your own journey, you then become very content with helping somebody on their own. Because like I said, somebody can easily go from being a supporter to being an enemy because they desire what you have, because they're not content with what it is they have. And so make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who, even if they don't have clarity about what it is they are called to do, what it is they are currently doing, what their journey of success looks like, what their glowing and growing journey looks like, even if they don't have an understanding of what exactly that is, they have a desire to have their own thing going on, whether it's building their own career, building their own business, to even just going to therapy to talk about their own journey, just allowing people to have the freedom and the focus to focus on their own things. And so surround yourself with people who aren't going to be obsessed with you, right? But who are going to partner with you to walk in very similar directions, having very similar goals, very similar principles, but aren't necessarily obsessed with becoming you, right? I think the other thing that kind of needs to be discussed when it comes to, surrounding yourself with other women, even if you have been scarred before, is realizing that you're going to be a friend to different people. And I think returning evil for evil is something we can be tempted to do, or isolating ourselves because one person has been bad to us and not allowing anybody else to get close to us, and mistaking walls for boundaries, right? We often do these things because we think that, one, we can do okay by ourselves, but also we don't need to think about our own character and what will actually help us. And it can lead to a sort of level of self-sabotage where we start to think that I don't need anybody on this journey. We try to do everything on our own and realize that actually life cannot be done alone. And you need to forgive people, and you need to stop projecting. I know it sounds harsh, but you need to stop projecting the disappointment and the anger that you felt from a past situation onto the people who God is sending into your life to actually help you, to actually love you, to show you the affection and the care that you actually desire. Because so many of us are looking for romantic relationships, looking to, go on those vacations, looking to have that one person because we want to put on them the expectations that should be shared by friends, family, community, right? We want all our companionship to come from this person, all our satisfaction to come from this person, all our entertainment to come from this person. Every single aspect of us should be fulfilled because we're going to find that one perfect person, when actually we're not just called to be in community with just one person. And you can make your partner an idol because you don't have friends, right? You actually need people around you who will give you that affection which you actually desire. It's literally one of the things we say in the introduction of this book, which is sometimes the affection and the love that you're actually desiring isn't found in romantic relationships, but can be satisfied with friendships. And I think so many people underestimate the power of friendships to make us feel like we belong, to make us feel like we are wanted, to make us feel like we are actually loved. And this, I think it's even a beautiful thing to see when these sort of things happen in friendship, because oftentimes it's without the expectation for something to be done in exchange, right? Not to say that friendships aren't transactional to some degree, but when we think about like sex, right? You and your partner have sex with each other. There is an incentive to some degree of a different kind for you to make up or to journey with each other. And even if you don't like each other, sometimes you can kind of ignore the fact that you don't like each other because the sex is great, but you ain't having sex with your friends. I hope not anyway. You are just friends, and that kind of love without expectation, right, of taking from you or consuming you in a specific kind of way can sometimes be beautiful. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the fact that my friends just love me, right, and they love my company, they love journeying with me in life, and they are here for the ups and the downs. And of course you can find that in a romantic person as well, in a romantic partner as well, but I don't think that's the only place you can find it, and the two are not mutually exclusive. I think a lot of women, you know, get into relationships and then they forget about their friends, when actually you're meant to have like a holistic kind of network of communities and relationships around you that make up your community, that make up your village. And I think that's so beautiful, and sisterhood should be a key part in that, especially as a woman. And obviously this doesn't just happen with everyone. Just because you're a woman and I'm a woman doesn't mean we're going to relate on everything or maybe even anything. But when you find those people who are like you, who share that kind of social experience or cultural experience, it just brings a level of kind of relaxation and an ability to just be yourself and to be honest and real and raw. And I think a lot of us are looking for those places or spaces where we can be our authentic self, and I think sisterhood can actually provide that for you. But back to the original point that I was making, I think a lot of us need to go into building sisterhood with good faith, not necessarily because we're expecting to meet perfect people, because just because you're a good person doesn't mean that it's only good people that will come into your life. Let's dispel that lie of like, oh, you attract who you are. Sometimes you attract what you don't need because people are attracted to good things, right? If you are glowing and growing, think of a light bulb, right? Why is a light bulb going to attract a moth? It's not because the light bulb is a moth in itself, it's that something is attracted to the light, right? You can attract anything, but who are you? At your core, who are you? And we need to remember that just because someone's been bad to us, it doesn't need to make us a bad person, because at that moment that we have made that choice to allow their evil, to allow their wrongdoing to consume us and shape who we are, we have made a choice about our character. And I'm not putting all the blame on someone else. We should be careful about the way we treat people, because we do impact the people that they become, but also there is a responsibility and an agency on our part to decide who we become. And so just because wrong has been done to you doesn't mean you need to now live in the wrong for the rest of your life. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't have hope for the good to come into your life too. And because the sun is setting and I need to make my last point, it's okay to let go. I think as you maybe are healing from, you know, people having hurt you in the past, and now you're trying to make friends again, you're kind of opening up to the idea of sisterhood, I need to remind you that it's actually okay to let go of certain people. It's actually okay to not force friendship with absolutely everyone. You are allowed to be like, actually, I don't think we are maybe good or maybe called to even being in friendship with each other. I don't think that we're meant to force this relationship past maybe just being acquaintances, right? I think sisterhood is something way deeper than just knowing someone and calling someone sis, you know, hey sis, whatever. Nah, just because I know you through Instagram, or just because, you know, from time to time we share a cheeky DM, it doesn't mean we're necessarily sisters. I think sisterhood is a deeper covenant, a deeper relationship, a deeper companionship than just normal friendship. But I think it's important to remember that just because somebody else is a woman who may have an interest in you or may have an interest in, you know, knowing you, doesn't necessarily mean you should know each other on that kind of intimate level. It's okay to pick your friends with wisdom. It's okay to be discerning. It's also okay to not allow everybody into your inner circle. And I think what we sometimes struggle with when it comes to sisterhood is we think that any woman who comes into our life should automatically be sis. Every single woman that comes into our life, hey sis, yeah. And I see this a lot, especially in like the Christian, not the police. I see it a lot oftentimes even in the Christian Christian world where it's like, hey sis, hey sis. Don't conflate that hey sis with real sisterhood, right? Somebody can be your sis, but really and truly they're just an acquaintance. It doesn't mean you need to confide in them with everything. You need to be discerning about people's capacity and whether they can handle your calling, whether they can handle your history, whether they can handle the place that you are at in your glowing and growing journey, whether they can handle helping you get to the future. Not everyone is called to be your sister, and so you can have loads of acquaintances, you may even have loads of friends, but you can pick your sisters wisely. And it's okay to have fewer friends and fewer trusted confidants in your life. That there is wisdom in having wise counsel, but that wise counsel doesn't need to be in many people or formed of many people. A good solid friendship group, a good solid network of women who you can confide in truly and have, you know, deep roots with is way better than just having, you know, a lot of connections with a lot of different people, because having deep connections with everyone is even hard to keep up with. So be realistic also about how many people you can show up for as well, and actually be a good friend for, and allow yourself to, yes, welcome new people in, but really find those friendships that anchor you, those friendships that can last the test of time, those friendships which, you know, just edify you in a different way. Surround yourself with good people and don't feel, you know, pressured to have to surround yourself with loads of people and make loads of connections now with different women. That's not necessary. Fewer quality people are better than loads of people, you know? So sis, I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. The sun is really setting real quick, so I'm gonna sign out right here. Let me know your thoughts down in the description. Why do you think some people are kind of like averse to the idea of sisterhood, but also what tips would you give to someone who is trying to build sisterhood and community in their life with wisdom? Let me know down below in the comment section. I will talk to you very, very soon. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Mwah.